I got back to my car.
It'll be a trade across.
We will call to order the regular June 16th, 2014 meeting of the Robertson County Commission. I'm going to ask Commissioner Jonathan Garner if he will lead us in the invocation, to be followed by the pledge to the flag. Please stand.
Join me in prayer, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to gather to conduct the business that we hope to conduct this evening. We thank you for this opportunity because in the news that we see, the things that we hear, we realize that this is a precious privilege that we have. In this time, this season of campaigning, the rhetoric, and all those things, God, let us remember what's important. To keep you first, our family second, and to keep doing what we need to do for this county. It's your name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you will press yes and confirm, you will be registered into our system. We have 20 commissioners present and 4 absent, those being Commissioners Doris, Gregory, Ray, and Spears. So I declare that we do have a quorum. Commissioners, you have before you the minutes from the May meeting. What's your pleasure? Have a motion for approval by Commissioner DiOrio and second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion, corrections, additions? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. So the minutes are approved. Very briefly, under communications, this Wednesday will be a historic day for Robertson County when we take our seat on the Nashville Area Metropolitan Planning Organization this Wednesday. So look forward to representing Robertson County on the MPO. Coming up next weekend, Trash and Treasure in Cross Plains. Always a good time in Cross Plains, June 27, 28. Martin's Chapel Barbecue, June 28th. The Turning of the Pig on July the 3rd. Followed by the ceremony in Cross Plains at 9 on July 4th, the Greenbrier Parade at 10, and there'll also be activities in Adams and in Springfield. White House has their July 4th activities on July 5th. And there will be a Willow Oak wine reception at the Carousel House on July 5th, right before the play Ragtime. Next on the agenda are reports, and the first report that the chair has is from the Highway Department. 7.1, 7.2 is from Animal Control. 7.3 is Veteran Service Officer. 7.4 is Fire Service. 7.5 is EMA. 7.6 is EMS. 7.7 is the County Financial Report. 7.8 is report from the Planning Commission. 7.9 is the Inmate Expense Report. 7.10 is the Trustee's Statement of Funds. 7.11 is from the Gorham McBain Public Library. Speaking of the library, we were glad to see everyone turn out Saturday for the groundbreaking, and there's a great deal of work has been done today on that site. 7.12 is from the Solid Waste Department. And those are the reports that the chair has. What's your pleasure? Have a motion by Commissioner Baggett and second by Commissioner Jones. They be received in order filed. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. So they are approved. There are no elections or appointments this month, so I'm going to now recognize Mrs. Martha Wilkinson, our Director of Planning, for 2 rezoning resolutions.
Our first resolution is for Mr. Richard B. Carter.
He owns 2.60 acres located on Hooper Hollow Road, the 17th Civil District, the 7th Voting District, and he's requesting a change of zoning from AG2 to R40, which is low density. The Planning Commission reviewed his request and a vote of 7-0 for you to rezone.
Anyone here to speak to that resolution? Ms. Martha.
The second resolution is from Mr. Robert Cotter. He is representing the estate of Mr. Joseph A. Cotter, and they are requesting that .93 acres located on South Hyde Road, the 8th Civil District, the 11th Voting District, have a change of zoning from AG2 to R40. The vote of the Planning Commission was 7-0 for you to rezone.
Anyone to speak to that resolution? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at this time and bring these two resolutions back to the Commission for your consideration. Have a motion by Commissioner DeOrio and a second. Someone will second that by Commissioner Jackson. Ready to vote? If you're in favor of these two resolutions, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. With 20 votes in favor, none opposed, and 4 absent, I declare that resolution approved. Thank you, Ms. Wilkinson. Recognize now Commissioner Larry DeOrio for amend planning and zoning fee schedule.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Clerks, fellow commissioners, and audience, bring before you resolution number 0616140064. It's an amendment to the Robertson County Planning and Zoning Fee Schedule. Before we get into the changes, there is a typographical error on the commercial industrial permit fee schedule for the valuation of $50,000 to $100,000. The $5.50 should read $6, so we'll have to change that when we make that part of the motion to change prior to voting.
Is there a second to the motion? Second by Commissioner Stubblefield. I'm sorry? The typographical, yes. Commissioner DeOrio, tell us where that is again.
It's the commercial and industrial permit fee schedule for the total valuation between $50,000 and $100,000, where it has $550 for each additional thousand should read $6.
$6, okay.
For
That's
each
at the bottom of page 1. So change 500 and change $5.50 to $6. You want to speak to the motion, Commissioner DeOrio, what this is
Yes.
for?
And the monetary changes in all this that's before you is last month we talked about the permits for plumbing and mechanical. This is assigning a fee to those permits, which is $75. Both of those carry a minimum of 2 inspections with them. So we're asking that we make this amendment to the fee schedule.
Any discussion? Mr. Adcock.
Sorry, plumbing and mechanical. Yes. If I said electrical, I was wrong.
Other discussion? Questions? Ready to vote? Question's been called for. Seeing no objection to question being put, if you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. Mr. Haley, are you still voting?
I'm sorry.
There being 19 votes in favor, 1 abstention? No? Is that incorrect, Commissioner DeOrio? It's okay. So 19 votes in favor, 20 votes in favor, and none opposed, and 4 absent. I declare that resolution approved. Thank you, sir. Under new resolutions, I'm going to recognize Budget Chair Lanny Adcock for budget, amend budget ending June 30, 2014. Commissioner Adcock. Yeah, number one.
Mayor Bradley, Madam Clerk, fellow commissioners, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, this resolution is 0616140065. It's a balanced budget amendment. It's out of the, I believe this one's out of the Finance Department. It's a payout, let's see, it's part-time personnel. It's for training, if I'm correct on that. Is that right, Ms. Jody?
Have a motion and a second by Commissioner DeOrio. Any discussion on this balanced amendment? Question's been called for. If you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. Mr. Vogel, are you still voting? Okay, all right. There being 20 votes in favor, none opposed, and 4 absent, I declare that resolution approved. Resolution number 2 has been withdrawn by the Budget Committee.
We have an amendment to that. We are going to present.
You are going to present, okay? So it has not been withdrawn, okay?
Just amended.
I'm going to recognize Commissioner Adcock.
This resolution's been amended. We pulled the first one. It's resolution, it's a balanced budget. It's $108,000 it's the Sheriff's Department. Their fund balance looked okay, but they were worried about if they have a bill maybe come in on a prisoner or something that we'd get a fine in for it if we run over, so hopefully we won't have to use it. I make a motion we approve.
Motion, is there a second to that motion? And a second by Commissioner Jackson. Any discussion? Ready? Question's been called for. If you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. There being 20 votes in favor, none opposed, and 4 absent, I declare that resolution approved. Thank you, Commissioner Adcock. I recognize now Commissioner Haley for a budget amendment for the schools.
067. That's correct. Fellow Commissioners, Ms. Ashley, members of the audience, I bring to you tonight resolution number 0616140067. It's a resolution amending the budget of our county for the fiscal year ending June 30th. Where the school board, it's a balanced amendment. They're taking some aftercare reserve and some of the mixed drinks tax. Springfield has sent them $102,900, and then they have various and sundry expenses that they're moving it to.
Have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? And a second by Commissioner DeOrio. Any discussion? Question's been called for. If you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. There being 20 votes in favor, none opposed, and 4 absent, I declare that resolution approved. I recognize Commissioner Adcock again for continuing budget and tax rate for beginning July 1 of this year. Commissioner Adcock.
Mayor Bradley, Madam Clerk, fellow commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, this is resolution number 71. It's from the clerk's office, and I believe it was on computers. It's a balanced budget amendment.
Is there a second? I'm sorry? This is the resolution for the continuing budget.
68.
68.
We'll back up. We'll do number 68. This resolution is a continued budget, to continue our budget until we get our next one approved, which we hope is coming on fast.
Second.
Do this every year. Second by Commissioner DeOrio. Any discussion? Seeing none, if you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. There being 20 votes in favor, none opposed, and 4 absent, I declare that resolution approved. Recognize Commissioner Moore for the sale of certain county property to Dollar General Corporation. Stacey Moore.
Mayor Bradley, Madam Clerk, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, I have Resolution 06-1614-069. Resolution to sell certain county property to Dollar General Corporation.
Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jackson. You want to tell us what this is, Commissioner Moore?
Absolutely. We have 43 acres located on the intersection of Highway 76 and 5th Avenue East in Springfield. The committee voted to sell 2.75 acres of the property to Dollar General Corporation for $120,000.
$120,000. 2.75 acres.
2.75 acres out of the 43.
Of course,
And it's
this
on the
is-
right-hand side next to the Armory.
This is contingent upon approval by the Springfield Planning Commission so they can actually construct on that site. Mr. Jones?
Will this be a retail store or a wholesale?
I'm assuming a retail, but I don't know that ever came up in the discussion. I'm assuming a retail.
No, it didn't. They-
And this is on the Armory side or the school side?
The Armory
Armory
side.
side. Commissioner Eden?
I always thought that was a school board property, but it's
County,
Robertson County.
belongs to the county. County has owned that property since 1909 when the distillery went out of business and bankrupt, and the county took the property. So, long time for a payback there. 2.75 acres for $120,000. Across, yes, there's been some timber cut on both sides of the road.
Both sides.
Yeah. Commissioner Brown?
I assume this is a fair value for the acreage and it doesn't impact the other land. I don't know.
Doesn't impact the other land. The appraisal price was $82,500. Mr. Couch?
Where's the money go?
Where will the money go? To the county general fund. Any other question? Question's been called for. Seeing no opposition, the question being put, if you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. There being 19 votes in favor, 1 opposed, and 4 absent, I declare that resolution approved. Recognize now Commissioner Garner for the grant for approval for the RCEDB for Red River Preserve. Commissioner Jonathan Garner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Clerks, fellow commissioners, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. Bring to your attention resolution number 06-16-14-070. It's a resolution to grant approval to the Robertson County Economic Development Board to pursue water service options for the benefit of the proposed Red River Preserve Park.
Is there a second to the resolution? Second by Commissioner Stubblefield. Commissioner Garner.
Sometimes you don't have the benefit of where you're going to end up as far as the resolutions lie. I'd planned on talking a little bit about the history of what got us to this particular point because there's been some turnover with commissioners. January of last year, not January of 2013 or 2014, but January of 2013, we were at a crossroads with this project, the Red River Preserve. You'll recall, or many of you will recall, that we were at a point where we were working with Pleasant View's utility district in order to service this Red River Park, and we had recently undertaken a business plan. Many of you were at that meeting, and it was shortly thereafter that we had a parting of the ways in working with Cheatham County on this project. And since that time, we've concentrated on working within our counties and exploring various options. November of this year, we felt comfortable, and when I say we, I'm talking about the Industrial Development Board, the RCEDB. We felt comfortable in a position to approach Adams Cedar Hill, their water system, in order to entertain some negotiations about servicing this park. Quite candidly, those negotiations didn't go as well as we had anticipated, and we had met along those lines with the Budget and Legislative Committees to keep them apprised of where we were and to share our intentions. Following that Budget and Legislative Committee meetings, we then received a charge somewhat, or received instructions to continue to work with Adams Cedar Hill and continue to pursue water service options in the county. And as many of you know, as many of you are interested in, the water service options within the county, not just for this particular project, but as we've seen with Springfield and some of the other entities, we're in a squeeze. And we were committed to working with Adams Cedar Hill and had approached them in a different way and outlining some different options. And quite candidly, in February and March, we were what we felt this close to reaching an agreement that we've been working on for years on this particular project, to the tune that we had an agreement drawn with Adams Cedar Hill, left with a handshake, left a board meeting with a handshake to move forward to hopefully bring back that agreement. And when we returned with that agreement, we found that we were again at an impasse for various and sundry reasons. And we've spent the better part of that time since February and March searching for what we need to do. And where we are with this project is with the three options that are in this resolution. And where this resolution comes from is a letter that was sent from the Industrial Development Board to Adams Cedar Hill. And I would submit the purpose of that letter is to say, folks, we're committed to working within this county. We want to work within this county. We do not want to disrupt what you are doing. We are wanting to service this park. But if faced with the option, we have been charged by the Robertson County Commission to go out to find options to make this park work. Because when you look at the whereases in this resolution, when you're looking at a $1.5 billion with a B capital investment, when you're looking at a $60 million business plan for spending within the county, when you're looking at the impact of having $16 million annually to our property tax rolls, and you're looking at what the employment factors would be for this park, it's inarguable. And that's not just numbers that the board generated or this commission even generated. You'll remember that these numbers come from the January 2013 plan from the consultants that we had reached out independently to give a firm estimate, because that's what we were looking for with Pleasant View at that time. So what the IDB is asking the commission is to affirm where the IDB is with the work that's been put into this, with the negotiations, discussions, and to acknowledge that the IDB is willing and able and committed to work within the county to make this project work. But when you consider where we are and what this could mean for the county, to consider other options out there. And that's where we are, and that's what this resolution's purpose is to, A, update the commission, and to full disclosure, discuss with the commission where we are without going through that, because I don't think the commission has had a meeting like this, as I said, since January of 2013, but to B, reinvigorate the efforts to make this project work, because this would be a game changer. We're talking about the MPO and we're talking about circumstances in Middle Tennessee, and when you consider what this would be for us, it's inarguable. So that's what this resolution's purpose is, and would hope that on behalf of the IDB that you would consider adopting this resolution this evening.
Mr. Garner, do you want to speak to the point about the creation of a water board?
And there's been some discussions about that. The water company, you'll look, I believe that's the option 3 or option C, however it's enumerated there in the resolution. What that is in reference to is the IDB, one of the options explored is to potentially create a water company to service this park. And that has not been a priority for the IDB, but it is certainly an option and will emerge as a priority because of the conversations had with Logan Todd County or potential discussions that could be had with East Montgomery. And what that simply means is this particular geographic footprint, as we've called it, this particular geographic area, if you will, would become a water company for the park. It wouldn't be a general, or wouldn't be contemplated to be a general service area like Adams Cedar Hill or like the city of Springfield undertakes. It would be for this particular project. And I would just invite you to remember the conversations that we've had about this of none of this is to take away from Adams Cedar Hill. None of this is to take away from the city of Springfield. There is not any taking away. Any discussions had have been simply to service this potential park.
Questions for Commissioner Garner? Commissioner Haley?
The way I read this, Jonathan or Commissioner Garner, C will take place no matter if we go with option A or option B. Is that correct? As I read this, because it's got to create a new water company entity to serve the real property designated as Red River Preserve and to purchase water either from East Montgomery or Logan Todd. So we'll have to have a water company no matter if we go with A or B.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
And I don't want to sound too much like an attorney, but not necessarily, in the sense that if negotiations with Adams Cedar Hill or negotiations with East Montgomery were to occur where the terms were correct, there wouldn't necessarily have to be, that not necessarily part, a separate water company created. But to get to your point, the point that has led to some of the breakdown and frustrations in these negotiations has quite simply been that dealing with East Montgomery or dealing with Adams Cedar Hill, there's been discussions of, we're going to assume the build out that you're going to pay for, and we're not exactly sure of what we can sell you the water for. And that has led to some very difficult considerations because as the IDB has discussed this, we're working for the county commission, but more importantly, the folks in White House, the folks in Greenbrier, the folks in Ridgetop, and if we're going to give public funds towards a project, how can we turn those funds over to someone without having any input or having the county have any input, much less if there's some variables out there that we're not altogether sure on. And that's where a lot of the breakdown and discussions have had. So that was a very long-winded answer to a not necessarily point of if the terms were to lay out in the way that's mutually beneficial for both parties, there wouldn't have to be a water company. But if the terms play out where it's more advantageous, we're being a good steward by going through Logan Todd or dealing directly with East Montgomery, yes, we would be back at that time to ask the commission to consider a water company at that point in time. And that's why we wanted to lay out all three, because all three are viable, and I think the board would say that all three are viable, but at this point, the way it's shaping up, we're moving in that direction. But that's not where
we're
we are
moving in the
tonight.
water authority direction. Okay.
Commissioner Vogel, I'll come back to you, Commissioner Haley.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, yield to you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John, you've done a great job on this. You've brought a lot of stuff to light. I never thought I'd say this. Can we let Roger Blackwood be member of court?
I just want to note it on the record that Mr. Vogel asked for
Need that motion. Is that a motion, Commissioner Vogel?
Blackwood be member of
Is there a
court.
second? Second by
second
Commissioner
that.
Moore. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So, Mr. Blackwood, you have been elected to this august body yet again. Mr. Roger Blackwood, Chairman of the Economic Development Board.
Okay, Billy.
Just gonna say what's talking on the phone. I've been dodging you on the phone.
I know I've been trying to get you for 3
I got a
years.
whole phone here, Roger, where you knew was gonna spar tonight, and you can bring a whole lot of light on this. We've been 5 years.
3.5.
Other sources tell me 5. To get to this point.
Okay.
And I keep hearing y'all's side, and I've heard the other side, 3 water systems, and they don't gee over that. I wish there's some way for this commission to make a motion that could sit with these water companies and hear their side. Now, I do wear two hats, but tonight I'm wearing the hat of the county commissioner. And I've been advised by an attorney not to speak for the last 3 years, and I didn't. But I've got paperwork here where Adam, Cedar Hills, East Montgomery, and Pleasant View signed it for the land for the Justice Board 2 years ago. And I don't know whatever happened with y'all's copy. I mean, they signed it, I got a copy. And I don't know why this wheel keeps spinning. Now, if you have made a deal with Todd County, that they're gonna run that line out there for nothing, I mean, nobody can compete with that. I don't think.
Billy, in response to your question, number one, I think it's 3.5 years. We've had over 400 meetings on this subject.
I agree.
With East Montgomery, our mayor asked us to pursue, and we did for 1.5 years, trying to work out a deal with Cheatham County. And it would have been much better if we'd been able to do that and split it 50-50. The reason we were unable to do that is they wanted us to pay for 50% of a line coming up Highway 41A to the park, split the cost 50-50, and not have one drop of water in Robertson County. And we obviously voted no. That was absurd. And they would be taking water off of that line as it came up. The other thing was that they did not have enough capacity to expand in the area they were telling us they could and still serve us. And that's how we got to that point.
If you're talking about running this line, are you planning on servicing Cheatham County side of this park?
We're going to have to serve Cheatham County. Not Cheatham County. No. All that land over there belongs to Robertson County.
Okay, Joe Max's farm.
Joe Max's farm is in Robertson County.
You plan on going on the other side of the interstate, right?
We're going to have to go on the other side of the interstate some way.
Is Todd County going to pay for that?
We think they will.
See, that's,
Let-
tonight, are you asking us to vote to let y'all pursue these three options? Or will we vote and let y'all are going to pick one, and that's what it's going to be?
No, we want to pursue these three options.
Okay, you're not going to pick one without coming back to us, right?
Well, we're obviously going to have to pick one to come back to
But
you.
you're going to come back to us.
But we're going to have the reasons. We've got reasons tonight.
Before you sign the papers.
Oh, no, we're not going to do that. We have to investigate getting a water company formed. There's all kinds of things that we have to do. But when we met with the legislative committee and the budget committee, we were pretty well instructed to do everything we could and find all options. Well, we have found options.
That's what my question is, will you make a choice, you will come back to us first?
Absolutely.
All right, see, I'm worried about expense, about going on the interstate. And when hey, first thing, I'm gonna be upfront with you. I'm not happy about tax dollars going to somebody's personal private property. I got a problem with that. Hey, I think anybody would. You see where I'm coming from?
Everybody in Robertson County owns private property, and we've got a water
You're not
line.
running me a water line, taxpayer ain't paying for my water line, I'm taking my own service.
Well, all we do is get it to it, and then it's their responsibility after
I
that.
like the guy, I never met him, he's a Tennessee fan, he can't be a bad guy. But he's got more money in the state of Tennessee too. And us tax dollars, putting this water to him is,
Well, there's another side of this story. This could take hours. We're going to have options. We're going to have options on that property, and what property we don't have options on, they're going to get to pay for part of that water they're pulling off. Like if they hold out some land that doesn't get in there, and they want a 6-inch line running up to it, they're going to pay for the volume of that line and everything it costs to get it there. There's not going to be any free ride, but we've got an option. A verbal option right now, and we have quoted on several occasions that on all those properties. And we're, Billy, we got to get on with this thing. State's going.
hey, it's 3.5 years, I mean, I think in 5, I've been told from some people it's been 5.
No, I've been working on 3.5. I don't know how.
But anyway, I was before we could get go, the pilot plan, I was kind of getting on the edge of the wagon a little bit. But right now, if he keeps on like this, I don't know if I'm going to be on board much longer.
Well, we are hamstrung in that we've had 6 different people go up to negotiate with your water company.
I mean, 'cause I was at the meeting with y'all and Mr. Montgomery as a spectator. You asked for 1.5 million gallons.
ultimately when the park is built out.
Well, they told you that if you want $1.5 million, that you're gonna pay for $1.5 million if they want.
Well, they didn't tell us that. They were going to get back, their engineer was,
That's what I understood.
their engineer was going to get together and work up something, and I hadn't heard a word from them since.
They said they had a growth plan with their plan. You was gonna take $1.5 million out of their plan, but you're gonna pay for it. Well, that's $10,000 a day. Who pays for that, right?
Well, that's the reason where you're looking at options. I went up to Logan Todd, and the reason Springfield's got the option is because I went up there and talked them into quoting finished water to the city of Springfield. And interesting enough, the day after we showed, Margot and I showed this thing to Paul Netting and Roger LeMaster, his water man, their water plant went down. And all of a sudden, our proposal looked real good. But what they're talking about doing is running a 24-inch line down to Adam Cedar Hill, and I don't know what size coming to Springfield, but they have to buy 2 million gallons a day. They're talking about running a line all the way over to our park, putting up the tank, and we hadn't spent a dime. If we deal with Adam Cedar Hill, number one, we ask them to let us, as a contractor, build this line. And it would cost about $3.5 million. They chose to have their engineer estimate the same thing. We had two engineering firms within $40,000 of each other. Adam Cedar Hill came back with a price of like $980,000 higher, plus 10% on top of it.
Well, they waived the 10%.
Well, I know,
that.
but we're talking about how we got from A to
They
B.
might have been higher, Roger, but they got a development policy, just like everybody else. I can't go to Miss Moth and build a house and not use her code book. She's got a policy too.
I'm not arguing the point. We were going to design it they would have to do.
We're probably talking about something water on the bridge.
No, we're not talking about something on the bridge. They're going to have to design the hydraulics for their system. But they don't have to design the lines and the pumps and et cetera, and the tank. We've got somebody that can do it in $900 and something thousand cheaper. And we've got it from two engineering firms, Stegall out of Nashville and Clover here.
We're burning clock. I just want this commission to know that right now, there could be 200,000 gallons filling the site with no work at all.
We didn't spend $200,000.
I'm talking about 200,000 gallons of water could be put there today with no cost at all. Nobody knows stuff like that. But anyway, hey, if we're just voting for y'all to have a chance to pick these options, that's great. But just want to make sure you're going to come back to us.
Oh yeah, we'll have to come back. And we've never had any intentions of doing anything else. But we've got to have the freedom to go pursue all these options, or we're never going to get there. If you're a taxpayer and I'm a taxpayer, how am I going to look at taxpayers in the face and tell them I can get a water line and a tank put up for zero, and on the other hand, I got to spend up to when it was a 10% on top of it, $5 million to do the same thing, plus pay the depreciation on the line for 30 years, plus pay for the water. Now, I can't do that. I pledged to this body I wouldn't spend a dime up there any different. I'd spend my money, and I wouldn't spend my money that way, nor would I ask anybody else to. Now, I'm not saying we can't come to terms. I'm saying we haven't come to terms, and we've sent 6 different people up there to negotiate, and everybody comes back. We spend money on legal fees. They go back. Everybody's agreed, and they go back the next time. It's a different story. Now, I wasn't there, so I can't.
That's what I hear too. Different stories. I'm through, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Haley, did you have a follow-up question?
No, sir. Commissioner Vogel and Mr. Blackwood answered what well, I did have one other. If we go with Logan Todd, you've introduced Springfield into the mix now. If Springfield were to back out, is that going to be a deal breaker, or would they still run the line for it?
No, we originally started out that way. I'm the one that suggested going to Springfield, trying to cut the cost down. But we're also, one advantage that may be available is to running that line on down to Coopertown. And we've got a dead horse at I-24, exit 24 on I-24. We've got a water problem there, and we've discussed it with the city of Springfield tying in. They go down and serve that. But they don't have enough volume and they don't have enough pressure. But with our tank sitting up on exit 19, they would have the volume and they would have the water. It's to everybody's advantage to stretch it as far as you can, because you're serving a rural community, and they're borrowing 40-year money from the federal government on the agriculture department, and they can get that long-term money cheap, but they need to be serving the smaller areas, which is the whole area. Adams Cedar Hills is going to benefit from this more than anybody else. And in my mind, we're saving their company if we do it, because they can come right along and tap in on us, use that tower, which will give them the pressure and the volume for fire suppression. And I don't understand it, never have understood it, and I can't tell you why. All we want to do is have the freedom to get with it. We've been going around like this 3.5 years, and we've got to hit a direction and say, here's it, guys. But we're looking at companies, national, international companies are looking at us. The state's going to quit sending them if we don't get on with it.
Mr. Adcock.
How long do you anticipate it will be till you get an answer from Todd?
Well, they're supposed to be, I've talked to Alderman at City of Springfield. They only had one, when the contract was presented, they only had one change to make, and supposedly it's a done deal. I know Logan Todd's been doing some engineering work on it already. Now, I'm going to guess it's going to take a year to a year and a half to get that in, but we could be in that same year to year and a half. But when we get to deal with some of these big companies, they're going to want us to post a bond guaranteeing them when they get their facility built, that water's going to be there, and sewer's going to be there, and electrical and the gas. And I don't blame them. So we've got to know what we can do. But Logan Todd, all Logan Todd does is distribute water. They don't have any lines in any city. I think they have 11 cities they go to. They've got 14 million gallons a day capacity. East Montgomery has 4 million gallons a day, and they're using about 1.5 million of it. And Pleasant View has about 3 million, and they're using about 1,253,000. So it's, when you get to 80% of your capacity in your water plant, you've got, the state requires you to start designing and building for the additional, and Pleasant View would have to go all the way to Cumberland River. They're coming out of the creek down there.
Commissioner Jones.
I had a question for Mr. Adcock. I was going to ask his opinion on the matter, but I believe it'll be a moot question now, so Mr. Roberts.
Mr. Bryant, did you wish to be recognized?
I just want to, you said, they're agricultural branch of Logan Todd to keep this money for. It's some government program through the agricultural department. It's for rural development. Now, I don't remember the numbers. That's the reason they've proposed to run the line. That's correct. And they've taken all those little cities that had their own deal, just like Adams Cedar Hill, and they've all closed their plants. Everybody in that system pays the exact same thing for water. And every city has is on the board at Logan Todd.
Commissioner Duggar?
What is the water source? Where do they
Cumberland
live?
River.
Logan?
Logan Todd's Cumberland River. East Montgomery's Cumberland River. Pleasant View is, what's the name of that creek? Sycamore Creek. In 2007, you could walk across Sycamore Creek and not get your ankle wet. And that's certainly entered our thought process.
Mr. Jones?
I do have another question. How much burden will we put on the taxpayer until we reach a point where we can generate some funds from this?
None. We're already funded. Now, we would come to you to get a bond issue, but we have the funds to liquidate the debt.
Other questions, comments? Chair would also make the observation that Tennessee Regulatory Commission would have to grant approval before a water company could be formed. So that step would have to occur before this body was asked to create a water company. Other questions?
We can't pursue it, Mayor, without this permission, because we've got to put that package together
Go to them.
to be able to do it.
Question has been called for. Any objection to question being put? Seeing none. Commissioner Garner.
Just need to note that as the attorney for the IDB, just to declare that.
Thank you, Commissioner Garner. If you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. Being 20 votes in favor, none opposed, and 4 absent, I declare that resolution approved. Recognize now, we'll go to second reading for resolutions. We'll recognize Commissioner Bowens for the budget amendment for the jail's phone system. Mr. James Bowens, the Budget Committee.
Mayor Bradley, Madam Clerk, County Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. I bring to you tonight resolution number 051914-052. This is second reading on this resolution. I move for adoption.
Motion, is there a second? A second by Commissioner Couch.
This is second reading on this for the Sheriff Department, and so everyone know about it. I move for adoption.
Any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called for. If you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. Being 20 votes in favor, none opposed, and 4 absent, I declare that resolution approved. And recognize Commissioner Bowens for budget amendment for the channel for commission meetings. Commissioner Bowens.
This is resolution 051914-053. It's a balanced budget, second reading on this, and this is a City of Springfield and Robertson County. They will be paying half of the fee, but it's forecast. I move for adoption.
Motion and a second by Commissioner Adcock. Any discussion?
I have.
Commissioner Haley.
Have we ever considered using Channel 19's, the high school's channel, partnering with them and maybe saving the school system some money? Has that ever come up in our discussions?
Spoke about that, it's been 2 or 3 years ago, and the issue at that time was the swapping off of the disc to run on the commission meeting. We could probably still do that as well as be on Channel 3, too, for that matter. It's just a matter of somebody's got to physically go back and forth with that disc, and we had sometimes difficulty getting into school and actually getting it played. I think once they put something in their machine, it just runs, it just plays continually. But I'll be happy to address that with Dr. Grimes again, because I think that's a good, because they obviously need something to show, and I think it'd be a good way to put it out there. What this fee is half the cost of the computer software that Springfield bought.
With access Channel 3.
Channel 3. Other questions? Mr. Stubblefield.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Bowen, we can't get this channel out across Plains and White House. How many people of the county does this channel serve?
They won't, no one can tell you that because that's considered confidential information by Comcast. Now, there are portions of White House that do receive Comcast, but wherever the Comcast is eligible, it doesn't apply to the. Yes.
So how many people, how is Comcast the major cable?
They're the major cable. I suppose they and AT&T are probably the 2 larger cables. And of course, many people have Direct or Dish, which are not cable.
So this is not serving the county, this is serving a set number down toward Greenbrier and here in local White House.
Yeah, Springfield, Greenbrier, Ridgetop, portions of White House. But to tell you exactly all the portions of the county that has access to Comcast, I don't have that information, or how many viewers they have.
We're on Comcast, we get White House.
Do you? Okay. You don't get 3. Other questions? Commissioner Moore.
Comcast has a map for Robertson County, and Charter's on the Cooktown side, but Comcast has a service area map, and AT&T is now countywide, for their new network. I don't know if are we locked, is this locked in for 2 years, or?
No, I mean, this is simply paying for our half of the software. Hopefully this software will last for multiple years. I think we got about 7 years out of the last software that they bought. And if you have any ideas for how we could gain access to AT&T or elsewhere, I would love to get the meetings as widely covered as we could, because people ought to have a chance to watch it. Other questions or comments? Ready to vote? Question's been called for. If you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. There being 17 votes in favor, 3 opposed, and 4 absent, I declare that resolution is approved. Anything under old business? Commissioner Jones.
What is the possibility of bringing up the black fly resolution again?
At any point that you so wish, or anybody this body wishes.
There's been a lot of movement to bring it up again. I've been asked to do it, and I voted for it before.
Do you wish to make a resolution for this body? I think the resolution that was defeated in April called for a $7,700 contribution to go to Dr. Hopkins' company, who was treating the Red River, mostly in Logan County. About 3/4 of the costs were being borne by the state of Kentucky and by Logan County. You were asked to contribute $7,700 to finish the treatment of the larva in the river, and that was turned down. But at any point, certainly are free to bring that back to this body for consideration.
Let me think a month.
Anyone else under old business? Under new business, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Adcock for resolutions 42 and 43, and he can tell us what those two entail.
Mayor Bradley, fellow commissioners, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, Madam Clerk, this is resolution number 71. This resolution is for the purchase of computers. It's a balanced budget amendment, and I make the motion we approve.
Have a motion and a second by Commissioner DeOrio. Any discussion? That was from the county clerk's office, okay? All those if you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. Commissioner DeOrio, are you still voting? There we go. Being 20 votes in favor, none opposed, and 4 absent, I declare that resolution approved. Commissioner Adcock.
This is resolution number 72. It's also a balanced budget amendment for $4,000. Make a motion we approve.
Motion and a second, and the chair will explain that is the payout for Nancy Holt, who was the secretary for the Soil Conservation District, as she departed that position. Any discussion? If you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. There being 20 votes in favor, none opposed, and 4 absent, I declare that resolution approved. Thank you. Anything else under new business? Anything else under new business? I want to recognize Commissioner Jones for the election of notaries.
Speaker, you'll find at your desk, as well as Commissioner desk, a list of 14 citizens who request to be appointed as a notary. They all meet the required qualifications, and I move for their appointment.
And is there a second? Second by Commissioner DeOrio. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I have that by Commissioner Haley and second by Commissioner DeOrio. All those in favor say aye. We stand adjourned.
So, do the water challenge.